Good morning, y'all. My name's Jess Richardson, and I'm just so excited to be alive again today. Crazy how that happens every single day. So grab a cup of coffee or tea, and I just wanted to chat with you guys for a little bit today. I am just so grateful and so overwhelmed by the massive amount of support I received when I shared my story again. And quite frankly, I knew what would happen, because a lot of people don't really talk about their story and the grossest, ickiest parts of their life as open as I do. And I totally get and understand why. I am a unique person in that I am that extreme extrovert where this actually really helps me. It feeds me. I come alive because of this type of interaction. So that alone makes me different, and we're all different, and that's the beauty of who we are, is that we're all unique and uniquely human, and we have different functions, and we do different things. If we were all like me, it would be a very, very, very loud world, and it already is a very loud world, so I couldn't imagine if we were all extroverts like this. But I told you my story, not because I want my story to be my platform, not at all, but really I wanted you guys to have context for why I'm talking the way I'm talking. So when I went public with my story in 2009, I ended up working with a ton of survivors of all types, but typically the more extreme complex trauma. And I learned a lot of things, and I made a lot of mistakes. And that was honestly, that was a lot of the heart of me wanting to share this, is I wanted to be able to share with my legacy, my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren, all the things that I know they need to hear, but quite frankly, I don't think a lot of people have the balls to tell them. Because the hard truth, the raw honesty that we need in order to be the best us we can be, people just don't say. And it's because when you are faced with stories that are really intense, people just like, oh, but you're so good. Oh, but you're doing so good now. And it's like, that's good enough? I never felt like just being okay was good enough. I knew I could do better. But it seemed like all the people around me were just like, oh, but you're so amazing. And I'm like, what? I still feel kind of dysfunctional. I want to be better. I want to be happier. And so I didn't have role models or like mentors or counselors that really challenged me. Everyone just kind of told me I was good enough, and I had to figure things out on my own. So I found people all the way through my life who were like on TV, because I was a child before the internet. I found people that I just really admired. And it's funny, as I've reflected, all of those people are really big personalities. They're really charismatic. My first absolute hero was Richard Simmons. And it's because he is absolutely wild. But when my dad was killed, when I was 10, my mom was very overweight. And she was losing weight. Well, she wrote Richard Simmons. Now my dad was killed in 1989. So in like 1990, she hand wrote Richard Simmons a letter. And like a month later, she gets a phone call from Richard. And he sent her a package with his photo. It was on our refrigerator forever. But I remember sweating to the oldies. I sweated to the oldies for my whole childhood. Because you know what? My mom did lose her weight. And she did it because he was charismatic. He was fun. He was enjoyable. He loved who he was, even though he was radically different. But then as a business person, he called her. He called her every week for like 6 weeks just to encourage her. That is the kind of business that I love. People that really understand and really see. And I was like, that's who I want to be like. And then The Crocodile Hunter came out. And oh my goodness, I love Steve Irwin. Because he's so big. He's so fun. And see, I can even feel it in me when I talk about the people who I've idolized, who have said, you know what? Your good can be better. But they didn't tell me directly because they never knew my story. So I just pulled that info from their words, and it's challenged me. And then as I grew up, I started listening to like Tony Robbins and the people who did address and do address some of the harder issues. And so many of their tactics really worked, but they still never really said the hard things. And then in 2009, I was introduced to Gary Vaynerchuk, who is a real like gut punch, like honest, raw. And I loved all of that, all very charismatic people and all men, which kind of is awesome, but really I think us women need more of a platform in this crazy charismatic world that we live in. Gary Vaynerchuk has this thing that he does, and I can't even find the videos now because he just infuses it in his oodles of content. But he would say, and? So someone says something like, but my boyfriend's not supportive, and he would go, and? And then someone else would say, well, you know, my parents don't love me the way they should. And he would be like, and? Basically just saying, it doesn't affect your life now, move on. It doesn't affect who you are now, move on. And then I would listen to Gary and how people would share their really raw, open, vulnerable stories, hard stories like mine. And he just wouldn't take the approach that I wanted. And I wanted him to just say, so your dad raped you? And? So you were homeless most of your life? And it's not that he doesn't have the tenacity, it's that he doesn't have the platform or the story to do that. But you know what? I do. And it's hard to hear, but you know what? No one can help you. Only you can help you. If you desire to live a better life, you have to do it yourself. It's the only way. No one's going to save you. No one's going to rescue you. And if they do, it's going to get ugly because they don't really help the way you want to help. You're the one who is in control of your own life. You are the only one who can change you. And once you own that, it's awesome because you can do anything in the world you want. You can be anything you want. So, number one is always, are you safe? Are you safe? If you can look around your current life and see, I'm not being abused, I'm not being hurt, I'm in a safe place, I can be and explore who I am. You are in the best possible place. If you are not safe and you are being hurt, pull yourself up. Do anything and everything you can. One time I had a middle of the night garage sale on a Wednesday night. I sold everything in my house. I packed up and I left town. You have to get safe. Figure it out. Find the tenacity. Find that raw fire and get safe. Once you're safe, use that same fire to go be whatever you want, to go do whatever you want, to be the person that you want to be because you are the only one that can make that difference. When I was 21 years old and I was selling long-term care insurance and annuities, I'm sitting in this tiny little cubicle and I'm wearing this gray and black striped sweater. I remember it that clearly. And I'm cold calling 400 seniors a day. And what I realized is that by the time you're 70, you're either really cool, like you're the most awesome person on the world and I want to learn everything from you. I'd sit and talk to them too long. I'd sell them everything because that's what it means to connect with people. Or by 70, you're the biggest knucklehead, awful person. You're bitter, angry, you regret everything. And I knew at the ripe old age of 21, sitting in my little cubicle, that I had a decision to make that day. And that who I was that day was who I was going to be for the rest of my life. And I didn't want to get to 70 and be a bitter, angry, hateful person because I had every right to be, but I don't want to be. And so I made that decision that day that I was going to be an optimist. And it is hard. And I had to choose it every day, but it's a habit. And as you learn to change your perspective over time, suddenly everything starts to change and it becomes easier and easier to see the different perspective where there is a silver lining in everything. There is a silver lining in all that happens, no matter how bad it is. there's a silver lining. Because of my story, I'm able to relate. I'm able to be a person that says you're worth more and you're more valuable. There are so many people like me. What I have done is not that exceptional. Most people who have experienced complex trauma are out there living and functioning in the world where there's just this whole story that they never talk about. And you know what? That's fine, because you know what they're doing? They're living their life. And they've chosen to live life differently. And it is so beautiful and it is so fun. Think about optimism. Think about it a little bit every day, because it's just little steps over the long term that allow you to really make that difference. I'm going to be 39 this week. I made this decision when I was 21. It is a whole lot easier for me to choose optimism today than it was all those years ago. It's because it's a habit. I've been working on it. But it's a daily choice. Get safe. Find your fire, find your motivation, and live it. It is your life. Enjoy it. It's a beautiful day. Look at the sun. We had heavy rain. We had a little bit of leaking, but not too bad. I feel like it's a victory. Life is hard sometimes. How are we going to view it? What are we going to do with it? I'm going to enjoy my day. I have a full, long day of woodwork ahead of me. And it's kind of soggy, but you know what? That just means I get to play in the mud. I love you guys. I hope you have a beautiful day. Thank you for watching. Cheers.